bring the animals and insects to the ark, but that there would be one of each gender, and that they would board the ark in a safe and organized manner. Finally, God was asking Noah to believe that the ark would not only survive the floodwaters, but that everyone inside would remain safe. Noah had no idea of the extent or duration of the flood. Noah might have thought the design of the ark was faulty. Thus, he would spend his entire life building a huge coffin for everyone on board. Or Noah could have wondered if the floodwaters would ever diminish so that they could return to dry land. But Noah's belief in God was firm. Genesis 7:5 records, "And Noah did according to all that the Lord commanded him." For the next 120 years, Noah constructed the ark. What he believed was put into action. But the real test was yet to come. Would the floodwaters come? What about the animals? Would they show up and peacefully enter the ark? Would they ever see land again? Would the ark hold everyone? Would the ark stay afloat? Will God eventually destroy every living land creature that was not on the ark? In the 600th year of Noah's life, his family, and 2 of every creature on the earth, 7 each of certain clean animals, began to board the ark. 7 days later, the flood began. Noah soon saw the results of his belief. For 40 days and 40 nights, the rains poured down from the sky. At the same time, the fountains of the deep were broken up. These were the subterranean waters that formed the seas and rivers. Finally, the rain ceased, and the entire earth was covered with water, estimated to be about 20 feet above the tallest mountain peak. From the first day of rain until the day Noah, his family, and the animals stepped off the ark, 1 year and 12 days passed. God had kept his promise. He had sent a worldwide flood. Amidst the destruction of every living land creature on the face of the earth, the ark kept its occupants safe from harm. The floodwaters did end, and everyone on board the ark was able to live on dry land again. Noah's basis for belief was that God would keep his promise. Consequently, Noah acted and built the ark. As a result, Noah, his family, and 2 of every creature on earth were spared from the devastation of the flood. Now, before I go any further with this, let me take a drink. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. In creation science at Christ for the Nations, Dennis Lindsay, the founder, Gordon Lindsay, Dennis Lindsay is Gordon Lindsay's son. He's the president. He taught creation science. And he gave me so many things on Noah's Ark. Just blows my mind away. You know how so many people say that, like most Christians believe that the flood in Genesis was local. Now that's kind of stupid, but if you ever, like, this video is on YouTube now, so you have anyone with those questions or thoughts that the flood was local, show them this video that I'm talking to you in. Let me give you these common sense reasons for the worldwide flood. If the flood was local, then why did Noah have to build an ark? If the flood was local, then why did God send animals from all over to board the ark? If the flood was local, then why so many animals? If the flood was local, then why was the ark so large? If the flood was local, then why were birds sent on board? It just comes down to this. This is Dennis Lindsay's favorite saying. It is a heart issue. A heart issue. It all comes from the heart. They don't believe. They're full of deception, doubt, denial. Now, some evidence for the biblical flood. We did I did a little listening from Dennis Lindsay. He did so much research. From Adam to the flood was a span of 1,656 years. That's how long it took from Adam to the flood. The lifespan back then was about 1,000 years. And the reproduction was 65 to 500. The average family could have at least 20 children. And there were 2 billion people by the time of the flood. Another crazy reason for why the flood wasn't local. Remember at the end of the story, God put a rainbow in the sky and gave us a promise. He promised all creation that he would never send a flood like this again. Talking about the flood, the worldwide flood. Well, if that was a local flood, God would have lied so many times, because there are local floods every day. What the heck? Get it through your heads. Very common sense. Let's see. Oh, like also with the fossils. You know how scientists dig up fossils with those stupid carbon dating techniques? Well, let me tell you, that's all lies. They say those fossils are 65 million years old. Let me tell you, when there were animals roaming the land still, when the rain started pouring down, the water was so heavy that it completely just piled on top of the animals or the people and instantly made them into fossils. With all the sedimentary rock that was coming down, it just squashed. They were instantly fossils. No, 65 million years. The truth, 4 to 6,000 years. That's it. About the how did all the animals from around the world come to the ark? I mean, aren't all the continents separated by water? How did they swim? Well, no. Back then, it was all one continent. And all the animals coexisted with each other. And there's evidence for that, too. They all were integrated. Just recently, the past few years, caves in America and Europe, they found the bones of the following animals all mixed together, all living together. They lived together. The bones were there in the caves in America and Europe. Wolverine, grizzly bear, tapir, antelope, coyote, camel, rhino, giant boar, birds, seashells, fish, dinosaurs, sharks, dolphin, sheep, dog, pig, bison, hippo, reindeer, mammoth, hyena, and there was also ambrid insects. Now you tell me the worldwide flood didn't happen. Just try. I just felt like I just wanted to bring all those facts to you. The creation science class at Christ of the Nations, so interesting. Oh, also, this is what gets so many people. It's got me. Back then, before the flood, there were no 6 feet people, no 5 feet people. Everyone they were all giants. They had this huge water canopy that made everything big. All the animals were big. But on the ark, they brought on only the little guys. But like Adam and Eve, they were about 16 to 20 feet tall. Like, do you see all those pyramids and all those ancient structures with these huge stones, like the Stonehenge or something? It can't be lifted by any man, no matter how many people lifted it up together. They didn't have no lifts, no nothing, no cranes, because that technology wasn't there yet until after the flood. Only giants could have lifted that. And as Goliath was 9 feet tall, he was pretty small compared to everyone before the flood. Noah was a giant. His whole family were giants. And that's how the ark was built. That's just it. It blew my mind away. You have to do your own research. But trust me, it's crazy. Anyway, back to my message. Now for a question. Have you ever put together one of those large jigsaw puzzles? You know, the type that you have to look at the cover of the box to be able to figure out where all the pieces go? A couple days ago, a friend of mine was telling me about how much difficulty he had experienced putting together a new puzzle that his girlfriend bought for him. Now, you need to know that my friend is very skilled at putting together these puzzles, but he struggled for a very long time before he realized what was wrong. The puzzle pieces did not belong to the picture on the top of the box. Somehow the puzzle pieces had been put into the wrong box. It was a wrong picture on the box. Let me tell you. Sometimes people have the wrong picture of God. This misunderstanding of who God really is can come from a number of sources. Think about the many wrong ways that God is portrayed on television or in the movies. Music can also misrepresent what God is really like. And even those who have never believed in God always seem to have an opinion of what he is like. People picture God in many different ways. Unfortunately, most of them are wrong. Only the Bible provides the true picture of what God is really like. From the story of Noah, we learn 3 very important facts about God. Fact 1. God requires righteousness. Never forget that we live in a moral universe. There are consequences for sin. In the days of Noah, there was terrible sin throughout the world. The sin was so bad that God determined to destroy every living thing on the earth. God is concerned about right and wrong. He will act to punish wrongdoers. The flood was a powerful example of what God could do. When the flood was all over, there were only 8 people left in the world. Literally. Like, the only time in history that you could hear someone sneeze and the whole world could hear it was in the ark. Joke. Fact 2. God is loving and compassionate. From Genesis 6:9, 7:1, and 2 Peter 2:5, we learn that building an ark was not the only thing that Noah did for 120 years. He also provided a godly witness, warning everyone who would listen about the coming flood. You see, God did not want anyone to die in the flood. God was opening the door to Noah's ark to anyone who would turn from their sins and follow God. But when Noah and his family boarded the ark, no one joined them. Fact 3. God expects us to believe. When God first told Noah about the flood,